No one expected the world to lose Jeff Garcia this soon. At just 50, the voice behind one of the most unforgettable characters of the 2000s is suddenly gone, and fans of Jimmy Neutron are struggling to process it. What makes his passing even harder is the quiet battle he was fighting behind the scenes, one almost no one knew about. Jeff was the loud, explosive energy of every room he walked into, yet privately, he was facing medical complications far more serious than anyone imagined. That contrast between the laughter he gave the world and the silent struggle he carried is what makes this story hit so deeply. What many people didn't realize is that Jeff's health had been slipping for months, and he kept almost all of it to himself. It began in the spring, when he suffered a sudden brain aneurysm that caused him to fall and hit his head. He pulled through, but those close to him say he never fully bounced back. Then came another blow just a few weeks ago, when he was hit with a stroke that quietly pushed his body even further. Fans started noticing something was off. Jeff began canceling shows, something completely unlike him. He was the type who would perform through anything, but this time, he wasn't feeling well enough to keep going. Still, he refused to seek treatment, convinced he'd get better on his own. Around November 20th, things got serious enough for him to be hospitalized with pneumonia. He recovered just enough to go home, but his condition turned again. By Monday, he was struggling to breathe and had to be rushed back to the hospital. The next day, one of his lungs collapsed, and he was placed on life support. Surrounded by family and friends, Jeff's fight quietly came to an end. But the tragedy goes even deeper, because most people never realized just how much he contributed to the world of comedy and anime, how big the legacy he leaves behind truly is. Jeff Garcia was never the type of celebrity people instantly recognized on the street, but his voice shaped an entire generation. He became unforgettable the moment he brought Sheen from Jimmy Neutron to life, a character so chaotic and lovable that he turned into a cultural phenomenon. His performance was so electric it sparked an entire spin-off, Planet Sheen, built around that same wild energy only Jeff could deliver. And his impact didn't end there. He voiced characters across some of the biggest animated movies and shows of the 2000s. Barnyard, Back at the Barnyard, both Happy Feet films, Marmaduke, the Rio movies, and even the sitcom Mr. Box Office. Most fans didn't realize just how often they'd heard him, until now. In the comedy world, Jeff meant even more. Laugh Factory owner Jamie Masada described him as someone with a huge heart, someone who used his talent to lift up young Latino comedians trying to find their place. After the news broke, the Laugh Factory honored him with a glowing tribute on its Hollywood marquee, a reminder of how deeply he was loved in the community. Even old interviews have resurfaced, showing Jeff's fearless side, like when he openly addressed the controversy around Ashton Kutcher's Pop Chips commercial. It reminded fans that behind the animated roles was a comedian who wasn't afraid to speak up. Across social media, people are now realizing just how many memories Jeff's voice is tied to. Shock, nostalgia, and grief have collided as fans discover the true scale of his work, something many never fully appreciated until he was gone. And that leads to something even more powerful, a reminder that people like Jeff leave a far bigger mark on the world than anyone ever notices in the moment. Jeff Garcia's story hits so hard because it blends joy and heartbreak in a way no one saw coming. While the world laughed at the characters he brought to life, he was quietly fighting a battle that stayed hidden until the very end. His voice shaped an entire generation, powering childhood memories, iconic moments, and the kind of animated chaos only he could deliver. Losing him at just 50 feels unreal, not just because of his talent, but because so few understood what he was carrying behind the scenes. His passing is a reminder of something we often forget. The entertainers who brighten our lives are human too. They laugh, they struggle, and sometimes they hide the hardships we never get to see. Jeff's legacy proves that even when someone stays out of the spotlight, the impact they leave behind can be massive and unforgettable.